back to my channel. I'm very excited because today I will be discussing the popular, with witches especially, Sabbat of Samhain or Halloween. So first thing to say about Samhain is that it is the pagan Sabbat, celebrating the third and final harvest of the year. If we look at the Wheel of the Year, you will see that it is the mirror image to Beltane, a Sabbat all about the joyful transition from spring into summer. Whilst baby calves or lambs would be being born around the time of Beltane and everything would seem vibrantly alive and full of hope, Samhain is a time when historically some of these livestock animals would have needed to be slaughtered in preparation for the winter. As Samhain is the third harvest of the year, which is pretty much, I suppose, the meat harvest, as we would have already harvested the grain with Lunasad, the fruit and vegetables with Mayborn largely, and as the fields would have all been freshly reaped, the landscape would have been clear to see prey animals. And this is why the full moon in October is also referred to as the hunter's moon, which coincidentally this year is occurring on the day of Samhain itself. So this is where some of the death associations come in with Samhain, because it is the third harvest where the livestock would have been slaughtered if necessary in preparation for winter. Their meat would have been preserved to last us over the colder days that were to come. So there are a lot of kind of animal deaths or animal sacrifices for the sustenance of the tribe and our ancestors historically that would have been happening at this time. So with Samhain being the mirror image to Beltane, as I said, both of these Sabbats are about the veil thinning between the worlds. And by between the worlds, I mean between the world of the living and the world either of the dead or the world of the imperceptible, the spirits. And so at Beltane, this veil would have thinned between the world of the living, the world of normality, and the world of perhaps nature spirits, spirits that signify joy and life and the abundance of the earth flourishing and coming into bloom. At Samhain, the veil is thinning between our world, our normal world, and the world of the dead. This can still include the Fae, although the Fae around at this time may be a little bit more dark, a little bit more edgy, I suppose. But the main point is the veil thinning at Beltane allows us to be more in touch with spirits of light and life, and the veil thinning at Samhain allows us to be more in touch with the spirits of the dead and darkness and things that we may have lost in the past year. And this is why, of course, a traditional Samhain or Halloween activity is to dress up as various ghostly spirits and various forms of undead creatures or humans, and this is all emerging from that idea that the veil thins and it is easier for us to potentially have an experience with those kind of beings at this time of year. Another important thing to note about Samhain is that it occurs right slap bang in the middle of the zodiac sign of Scorpio, and Scorpio, represented by the scorpion, is a creature that can burrow into all of the deep and dark places, all of the dark crevices between rocks to shelter from the sun of the desert. But basically this signifies the courage and willingness to delve right into the depths of the unconscious that people who belong to the sign of Scorpio have, and that people at this time of year generally need to have as well to survive those darkening days and the coming of the winter. This really is a period of dark and deathly associations, and as I mentioned in my Scorpio video that I uploaded previous to this one, deathly associations does not necessarily have to mean extreme grief, painful loss and suffering. It can mean simply transformations and transitions, as death itself is essentially just a transition from our earthly bodies into the spirit world. So what the season of Samhain is teaching us is to become comfortable with these times of transition and transformation, especially when we are transitioning into something that is a little bit unknown and a little bit scary, I suppose. The unknown is the most terrifying thing for most people, especially when it is an unknown change that we may have to adapt to. And this is why Halloween or Samhain is so often associated with fear, and moreover is really a celebration of that fear. So what is going on the day of the Sabbath of Samhain in this particular year of 2020? Well, as I mentioned in my previous full blue moon video, we are going to be having this blue moon on that particular day. Full moons on Halloween or Samhain only happen once every 19 years, and full moons generally signify the expansion of intuition, psychic abilities, and emotions. Blue moons are also rare, and they signify a spiritual double check, if you will, as it is the second full moon in the month, so it's almost like a second chance to rectify or revisit things from the past that you may not have resolved with the previous full moon in this month. During the Sabbat of Samhain this year, we are also going to still be in Mercury Retrograde. This started on the 13th of this month and will continue until the 3rd of November. Mercury, named after the Roman god Mercury, who communicated messages between the gods, is of course associated with communication, travel, and things that move in order to work together. And so when Mercury goes retrograde, it signifies all of these things in life being turned on their head or being impeded in some way. So during the Sabbath of Samhain, be aware that you may encounter some technological difficulties or some difficulties in communicating with people, as of course Mercury is still in retrograde and will be for the duration of this Sabbat period. On another note, Mercury retrograde can also be a powerful instigator of re-evaluating your past, or it can be something that can make you potentially ruminate on your past and question your past decisions, as Mercury retrograding is kind of a reversal of the standard way, and so it will make you look at things from a different perspective and question if maybe in the past you did the right thing, if you took a certain action that maybe you are wondering if you're starting to regret, for instance. So this is definitely something to be aware of, especially for the Sabbath of Samhain, when we are already kind of thinking about the past in more depth. If we are thinking about the past of our ancestors, the spirits who may have passed away over the last year, we will be ruminating on the past a little bit, and this is something that is to be expected and celebrated on this Sabbath, but we may find that it is especially intense this year, our inclinations to do that. And so just give yourself some compassion and space in order to ponder these things, and don't panic if it makes you suddenly have a change of heart with regard to something that happened in the past. Maybe just see it as being a potential consequence of Mercury retrograde and see if you still feel the same way by the time it's November the 3rd, when that influence will be moving away from us. So what ways could you celebrate the Sabbath of Samhain this year? So one way that you could celebrate Samhain is by doing anything that helps you to reconnect with your ancestors and keep their memory alive, or reawaken your memory of them. So you can tell stories, you can think about your family history and your ancestry and your DNA potentially. You can place photographs of your ancestors on your altar perhaps, or give various offerings to them. You can also set up a little area on your altar for anyone, any loved one who may have passed away recently or just passed away in your life, who you are wanting to remember and celebrate. As I mentioned in my autumn equinox video, the period of autumn can just be rather a bittersweet time for people anyway, as it is the ending of summer and moving into something colder and darker and more introspective. And so on the Sabbath of Samhain, or Halloween in particular, it is important to give ourselves that space to reflect and acknowledge those feelings or emotions that we may be dealing with. If there is any grief or pain or loss there, now is a good time to do some deep healing work and let yourself express those feelings in whatever way feels right for you. Another way to celebrate Samhain this year in particular is to get in touch with your divinatory or psychic skills. This can be a very helpful tool for divining messages perhaps from your ancestors or past loved ones, but particularly now is just a good time to do it because the full moon happening on the day of the Sabbath itself will lend to us increased psychic awareness and intuitive abilities, so it would be crazy to not take advantage of that at this time. Another way to celebrate could be to create some sort of Samhain fire that you can sit around. It could be some kind of bonfire outside, or it could be just lighting the fireplace if you have one. As this was a traditional activity, historically people would light bonfires near the home to drive away potentially malevolent spirits that they believed, due to the thinning of the veil at this time, could access our world easier and potentially cause trouble and havoc easier. So they would light these fires to ward them away and keep the spirit of light and warmth alive. As the sun is more and more decreasing at this time of year, it is a good period to just fill your home with light and warmth, and remember that the light and warmth that we seek is still there within our homes and within our hearts, even if it is increasingly not outside so much. A way to combine the honouring of the ancestors and the fire kind of associations could be to write messages on some paper to your ancestors or to past loved ones and throw them in the fire and watch the smoke carry those messages away up to the heavens or up to the other world, the afterlife. And imagine that your prayers and messages to your ancestors and departed loved ones are going up and will reach them, and they will be able to help you with whatever request you may have. Anything that helps you to acknowledge and celebrate the thinning of the veil between our world and the spirit world at this time is a great way to celebrate Halloween or Samhain, and can really be a lot of fun to do as well. as all of the astrological influences coming in will be very supportive to us doing this and trying these psychic and divinatory activities. There are so many countless ways to celebrate Samhain or Halloween, from apple bobbing to trick-or-treating to carving pumpkins and putting tea lights in them. The list is really endless of what you can do, and hopefully in this video I have given a few outlines of specific themes that you can tailor your activities towards, and hopefully knowing these themes that I've touched on in this video of what Samhain generally represents, you can think for yourself what activities would resonate with those themes in accordance with yourself, in accordance with your own practices and beliefs about the afterlife and everything else. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you will have a blessed, powerful, intense, in the best way, Samhain time ever. And don't forget to press the like button if you liked the video, and leave a comment down below of how you will be celebrating Samhain this year, because I would love to hear, and I just love talking about these topics and continuing the discussion in the comment section. So during this thinning of the veil and increasing darkness, take care, stay safe, and blessed be.